y'all, welcome and welcome back. If you're new here, my name is Morgan and this is a video unlike anything I have ever made on this channel, and I am so proud that I get to make it because this means I read enough books this month to talk about them in a video. If you are new here, my name is Morgan and we do all things spooky here, whether that be talking about books now, talking about movies, reading scary stories, talking about folklore. We do it all here, and if that sounds like a blast to you, I would love to have you. Now, please check out the description below because that is going to be where you find the email address to send your stories to so that I could read them and we can get scared together, and that's where you're going to find my other social medias as well. So without further ado, let's get into the books that I read this month. I do have a personal goal this year of reading 50 books. So I've been trying to read as much as I can. Some I've read like on my phone, on like the Kindle app and the like Apple Books app. Some I physically have. So yeah, let's get into it. This month I read, I think 5 books. Let's get into it. So the first book that I read this month was None of This Is True. Now this book has 2 main characters, and that is just a regular woman and a famous podcast host. These 2 women meet up completely unexpectedly one night when they're at the same restaurant celebrating their same birthday. They share a birthday. So the ordinary woman overhears this famous podcast host talking about her birthday, and when she sees that woman get up to use the bathroom, she takes it upon herself to go into the bathroom with her and say, "We're birthday twins, isn't that so cool?" Well, this woman becomes infatuated with this podcast host, weasels her way onto an episode to have a whole segment about her, and begins stalking this woman. It was such an intense book. I was confused literally up until the very end. I'm still confused now. But this is one of my favorite books that I have ever read in my life. And if you read any of these books, this needs to be one of them. This is one of the ones that I highly recommend. There's 2 that I think you should definitely read, and this is one of them. I don't know if I can show the cover of this one, but the next book I read was In the Miso Soup. This one was interesting, and I can tell you right off the bat it is not going to be for everyone. I read it weeks ago, and I still don't know if it was for me. But it takes place in Japan, and it follows a Japanese tour guide who specializes in showing Americans the, like, red light district of Japan, if you get what I'm saying. So we follow this tour guide as he works with one particular American tourist, and there is something off about him. And the farther into the book we go, we find out a lot about him. It's a lot. Like I said, I don't know if it's for everyone. It's not one I would reread. It was actually, a few parts of it were really uncomfortable for me. Check for triggers on that one. But yeah, that is another one I read this month. The next book I want to talk about is Incidents Around the House. And listen, if you were in the mood to get scared, this is the one for you. So this book takes place all from the point of view of a little 8-year-old girl named Bella. And Bella is not only dealing with an entity in her house, but she's also watching her parents struggle through some things, like I'm sure we all did. But it was really heart-wrenching, side note, but also on note. It was really heart-wrenching to hear her describe what was happening with her parents from her perspective, from a child's perspective. It just like really tugged on my heartstrings. But the entity in the house, Other Mommy, is described. It's literally one of the most terrifying things I've ever read. The way that she is described and the way she changes form, it's a lot. This is a pretty scary book. I don't recommend reading it at night, and I don't recommend reading it by yourself, to be quite honest. I was not doing well, and I was with my husband the whole time I was reading it, but it was one that I could not put down, and I think I read it in 2 days. So if you like horror, read that. Next up, this is more of a true crime book, and that is the book Local Woman Missing. Now this one was a wild ride, and I can promise you have no idea who did it or what's happening up until the very end. But we follow in this book a crime that unfolds in a small town, and the crime involves 2 women and 1 child. And we jump timelines and people's perspectives throughout the chapters, but we watch this crime unfold, and then we see years later how it's still happening, what's happened now. It's really a back and forth until at the end the crime is eventually solved and you find out who did everything. Listen, this one, incredible. It was so heart-wrenching in parts. I don't know if I could read it again, but I do recommend it, especially if you like true crime, whodunit type books. This one was really good, and it was really fun to try and guess who did it because I was wrong the whole time. I haven't talked to anyone who's read this that was right. Not one person. Not one person. Now, the last book I want to talk about, I am actually still reading, so I can give you an opinion already. But that's Lights Out. That is Lights Out. And this and None of This Is True are the two takeaways from this video that you need to read. This one's spicy. This one is spicy. This, like, I'm not kidding, this is centered around Josh and Allie. Allie is a trauma ER nurse, and Josh is a mask talker that she has been obsessing over for a really long time. And he finds out who she is, and he breaks into her house because, I mean, she's been leaving some questionable comments on his videos, and he just wants her to prove that she's, you know, not all talk. Listen, I started reading this, I think 2 days ago. I have that much left. I plan on finishing it tomorrow, but I'm filming tonight, so you can't know my final thoughts. I love this book. I love this book, and I love them. I love it. I think my husband was telling me, I think there's another one in the series. I didn't know that, but if so, I will be going to buy it literally tomorrow after I finish this, because I need it all. I need it all. So Incidents Around the House and Local Woman Missing, I do also recommend, but these were the shining stars. In the Miso Soup, I literally just can't gauge if I actually really liked it or not. It was traumatizing. It was literally just traumatizing, and I just don't know if I was the target audience for it. But these two. But there was my first, what, like 5 books out of 50? We got a long way to go, but I am excited to go on that journey, and I hope you guys like hearing me talk about these books because it's holding me accountable. I'm like, okay, I need to actually read these if I'm going to sit down and film a video about it. Kind of like with scary movies when I do those regroups at the end of the month, like this too. Now, I am every day next month only posting follower stories, so you will not get an update from this next month, but I will post it either the first or second day in March. So in March, you will have 2 book videos technically. But anyways, that is all for today. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me. If you've read any of these books, let me know if you liked them. And if you do read them after my recommendations, please come back and let me know if you like them or not. But thank you guys so much for hanging out with me, and I will see you tomorrow.